What mother leaves her young kids alone in the house for 4 years?
Everybody's upset about it, like, oh my God, this is right in our neighborhood.
Apparently, this woman, her landlord, stopped getting rent and hearing from her, so he called 911 for a welfare check.
Had no idea that there were kids there, let alone kids in grave situation.
3 children were inside, trash piled up, poop everywhere. The kids said that their mother left them there since at least 2021.
They had difficulty walking because their toenails were so long.
A despicable discovery, and the Shade Room is digging. Her Facebook post that's got people on social media on 10.
As we start off, read a few things, just this first paragraph, just to break y'all in on what's going on again in Michigan. In Pontiac, the mother of 3 children, who was allegedly found living alone in squalor in a Pontiac home, told a judge in August 2022 that she was not in a situation where I barely can provide for myself or my children, but she asked time to get back on her feet. The revelation in court records came as another man with whom she had a child expressed shock at the conditions in which her 3 older children lived and said it wasn't like the women he knew. The 34-year-old woman who has been charged was arrested Friday after her landlord called police to do a welfare check because he hadn't heard from her and because she had not paid rent since October, according to the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. The children, her children, a 15-year-old, a boy, a 13-year-old girl, and a 12-year-old girl were found living in horrible conditions while she lived elsewhere in Pontiac, Sheriff Michael Bouchard said at a Tuesday press conference. This past Tuesday, that is. The 15-year-old had been outside only twice in the 4 years since his mother allegedly left him and his 2 younger sisters alone in the home, the sheriff has said. Once because he wanted to feel the grass, which by itself is heartbreaking, and a second time to check the mail. Bouchard said you wouldn't do this to an animal, let alone a child. Just to hear he came out to touch the grass is crushing. Soul crushing on so many levels. The 34-year-old woman had not been charged as of Tuesday, but the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office said officials there have received a warrant request in the case.
Wow.
It doesn't get lower than this. It was Valentine's Day, a day to celebrate love, but it turned into a day of horror in Pontiac, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit. It was horror that a 15-year-old boy, a 13-year-old girl, and a 12-year-old girl had been living for years. This was their normal. We're blurring out some parts, but you can see the bathroom overtaken by trash, mold, and feces. The girls, They slept on pizza boxes. They had not seen the light of day since about 2020 or 2021. But how? Where were the neighbors? Where was the school district? Their extended family members? Questions that we're getting down to the bottom of.
The kids were living in a biohazard, Bouchard said, and survived on weekly drop-offs of prepared food. Some rooms in their house had garbage piled as high as 4 feet, and deputies found mold and human waste throughout the house. Mother also had a 4th child, a 9-year-old boy, with a different man. She shared custody of the boy with his father, but the boy's father, Shantuan Brown, told the news on Tuesday he had physical custody of their son, and he lived with them. Their son never lived at the Lydia Lane home, Shantuan said. When they decided to move to that house, I already had taken care of him, Brown said. Brown said he was shocked when he heard the news about his child mother arrest, as he had no idea her 3 older children had been allegedly living on their own for years. He said it doesn't even sound like something she would do. Kids' fathers not in their lives. It does not appear that any of the 3 children relatives knew how they were living, Bouchard said. The kids' father was not in the children's lives because their mother, who had sole legal and physical custody of the kids, would not allow it, the sheriff said. The father requested a change in custody in March 2022 after he was released from prison, according to a motion he filed in Oakland County Circuit Court. He wrote that he had not been around in years, but my kids need their father in their lives. Bouchard said there was a consent agreement, but the mother would not allow the father to see the children. In a separate case involving the 9-year-old boy, the mother wrote in an August 2022 custody motion that she had lived on Lydia Lane since October 2019. She wrote that she was unemployed again and she was the parent that has always had to sacrifice and take loss after loss, but was not more specific. She said it was in the best interest of their son that his dad took him. She said it was only temporary, and I am not in a situation where I barely can provide for myself or my children. I've practically raised my children alone with less than bare minimum from their fathers, the mother wrote. Brown said the 9-year-old boy's mother still saw her son and spent time with him, but they never spent time at the Lydia Lane home. Brown said he didn't even realize they were still her house because she was staying in a different residence.
We went to the house to check on what was going on there and had no idea that there were kids there, let alone kids in grave situation.
Their hair was matted. They were covered in urine and feces.
When we took the kids out of the house, they had difficulty walking because their toenails were so long. They hadn't had any grooming. I don't think they had basic hygiene knowledge of what to do. They hadn't been given hygiene products for years.
Lord Jesus,
etc.
It was everyday life for these three siblings. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard telling the Fox affiliate in Detroit that they had not attended school since their abandonment. Instead, they were locked inside this condo on Lydia Lane to never come out.
We showed up at the house. The young boy did have communication with the mom and said the police were there, and she said hide.
The two girls, they did hide in the bathroom until they were asked to open the door.
There was garbage, trash piled 3 and 4 feet high, covered with feces all through the house. It doesn't look like the toilet or the bathtub had been usable or workable for quite some time, primarily because of the feces and trash.
Investigators had to use hazmat suits to process the scene for evidence. The kids telling deputies that they spent day and night passing time by playing games and watching TV. They would only see their mother when she or another stranger would stop by once a week to drop pre-prepared food on the porch.
If you think about the horrific ads you see on TV to spur donations for animals that have been abused or are living in terrible conditions, multiply that by 10.
Sheriff Bouchard not releasing the mother's name because she shares the same name as one of her daughters.
Sheriff Bouchard got a nice
in the
green
shade room,
screen.
we're not sharing it either to protect the child's identity, but we did find the 34-year-old's mugshot in the county database. She's still sitting in jail. Charges haven't been listed at this time. The prosecutor's office said publicly, quote, that it will not comment on the pending case until it has been reviewed and a charging decision has been made.
It's pretty heartbreaking that the kids would have to live under those conditions. People just kind of get in their car and go.
Neighbor Emma Gross couldn't believe it. She lives on a different block, but says
a block
that
away.
In that neighborhood, everybody typically keeps to themselves.
So I think people are just kind of just doing their own thing now and just kind of going in their places and closing the doors.
Neighbors reported seeing the mother come and go with items, but never spotted any children with her. You also can't ignore what role the Pontiac school district played in all of this. The district confirming Monday that the 3 children are not currently enrolled, and they couldn't comment any further. The interim superintendent, Dr. Kimberly Leverett, releasing a statement saying in part, quote, the Pontiac community has been shaken by the horrifying story of the 3 children who were discovered suffering from extreme neglect this past weekend. As a school district, we are working with the Oakland County Sheriff's Department to assist in any way we can. As educators, our hearts are breaking for these children and what they have endured over the past several years.
How could something like this happen? These children, how could people go living every day and not see something like this and report it sooner?
A question so many want to know, and why their mother, too, had been posting on Facebook a week prior to her arrest, advertising a free food giveaway, knowing that her children were home alone,
with no
living
food.
in squalor.
Double life.
Everybody's upset. Everybody's upset about it. Like, oh my God, this is right in our neighborhood. How could something like this happen?
What about their extended family? Well, the children's alleged aunt has been very vocal on social media about this, even threatening to fight people on Facebook who come after her. She said that she had no idea what was going on. We've reached out to her for a comment. We're waiting to hear back.
How did this happen? A lot of y'all asking. Bouchard said, that's the police. Bouchard said the biggest question on everyone's mind is how did this happen? All of us are asking, how the heck did this happen? How did we lose 3 kids? How did they fall through the system? Bouchard said the community, the relatives, the schools. How did no one know? A couple of neighbors told the Detroit News they had never seen the 3 children at the residence and were shocked at the revelation. The kids' first school received a request for records from a second school, but never saw verification that the children were enrolled in the second school. Said Bouchard, who didn't identify the schools. Ultimately, they did not attend class at either school. The sheriff said the case shows the need for legislative reform of the school code that would ensure educators keep track of kids when they're enrolled in the school system but don't attend classes, he said. Bouchard said he believes the initial alleged abandonment was in spring or summer 2020. The COVID-19 Pandemic may have played some part in the disconnect from the schools, which let the children slip through the cracks. That was their reality, no adult contact. They probably thought what was happening was normal, Bashar said. They were scared to leave. The kids survived on weekly food drop-offs from the mother and from businesses like DoorDash, Bashar said. The mother did not leave toilet paper or hygiene items for the kids. Toward the end, the children were getting a loaf of bread that was intended to last 3 to 4 days. Conditions of the home, photographs as you've seen in the video, show piles of debris made inside. Police described the scene as deplorable shape, with garbage piled as high as 4 feet in some rooms and mold and human waste found throughout the house.
Wow.
Everything was covered in feces and trash. The toilet had become non-functional and the bathtub was filled with feces, the kind of situation the poor kids had been living in for years. When the police found the children were soiled in clothing, their hair was matted, and their toenails were several inches long, making it hard for them to walk. Police said the children did not know how to use personal hygiene items or how to flush a toilet. That's crazy. Shar said the kids are already making amazing progress, having had some tender love and having had some supportive care. He praised the generosity of the community, who donated dozens of bags of clothing, as everyone should know, and have donated $15,000 to $20,000 for the children. The sheriff said he is working on finding an attorney to set up a trust for the children. But in the meantime, the sheriff's office is accepting monetary donations on their behalf on PayPal. Yeah, we're going to learn more about the case. Until then, what you heard is what everyone has so far. And whatever you got to say about it, because this is the Naziah Harris case. That just ended. Then we got the mom in Potomac. My bad, this is the mom in Potomac, but we have the mom in Detroit that kids suffered from hypothermia and froze to death. Dad lost two of his 3 kids. And now we have this, a mother playing, I don't know, double life in it. I don't know, she must have some cheery life going on, and on this side of town.
I mean, she just decided that she was going to say, forget about these first 3 kids I had. I got 2 teenagers and a 12-year-old. And I'm not worried about them. And the father has a 9-year-old, and she's living a double life. Nobody really knows that she has this over here going on. And if she didn't stop paying the rent, the landlord would have never asked questions. And that's the sad part. We really got to check on these children. These children are in danger. These babies are in danger. And I'm sure we're going to have more on the cases, more unfolds. But as of right now, she's been arrested. And we're going to see how it plays out. But it's truly a sad case as you take a look at the photos. And we really hope that we can do better as a community.
Gotcha.